Good morning, everybody. Welcome to episode 17 of the Video Lowdown. I hope you're doing well on this crisp, cold autumn morning. It's getting really, really cold now, isn't it? I hope you're all keeping safe. I hope you're all doing well, despite the potential of further movement on this lockdown malarkey. I hope you're all staying well, keeping busy, and staying safe. Today we've got a filmmaker joining us. He's live in New York. It's just gone 5 a.m. there, so I owe him a big bottle of whiskey or tea or whatever it is that he drinks. I've been informed that he's on his second cup of tea already this morning. Today we're going to be talking about a term that is an emerging term within kind of the filmmaking community, and it's called transmedia. I'm not going to talk too much about it now. I'll let our guests talk about it. But joining us today is Aaron Blanton. He is a Peabody Award-winning director, originally from Eugene, Oregon. He developed a habit of making big things with little resources. And since graduating from the University of Oregon in 2013, he's lived in Seattle and Boston, working on such projects as The Hunting Ground and Poetry in America, which I'm sure we'll hear more about later. Now currently residing in New York, he focuses on work that he hopes will bring a little more magic and wonder into the world. A great intro there, straight from Aaron's production company website, Mazama Entertainment, which as well I'm sure we'll hear more about. Aaron, thank you so much for being awake. How are you doing this hopefully fine morning where you are?
Oh, Jamie, I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem at all. Is it your second cup of tea? You're a tea drinker, right?
It is, and I'm almost done with it.
Milk first, tea bag first.
Nice roll of those.
Do you do milk first, tea bag? Do you do milk first, tea bag first? How do you make it?
You know, I do water first because I'm a dirty American. But
no,
I'm
that's
told
good.
that's
Water
not
first.
the way you're supposed to do it.
No. It is tea bag in, water in, then you add the milk, then you add the sugar.
Oh, phenomenal. Okay, cool. I'm in the clear.
You've been accepted.
All right, I'm doing it right.
You've been accepted. Aaron, I really appreciate you joining me today. I'm really excited to talk to you about this term, transmedia. It's something that, as a video producer and occasional filmmaker myself, that I've stumbled across. But obviously, you're living in that world. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you kind of went from, having an interest in film to then developing this, developing inside this kind of media of transmedia. And what even is transmedia?
Well, we'll start there. Transmedia is a term that some people have heard, some people haven't, but everyone has consumed a lot of it. And transmedia just simply means it's one story or one series of stories told piecemeal across different media. So Star Wars would be a great example. Harry Potter would be a great example. Lord of the Rings, any of those kind of, Marvel, anything that it's got books, it's got movies, it's got TV shows, it's got podcasts. Anything like that is transmedia storytelling. And
okay. Isn't that just considered my own merchandise, or am I being very naive? Like, is that just not merch like that goes with the film, or there's a point to having? There's a point.
No. Oftentimes it is. And I think that that's actually kind of one of the travesties about how transmedia is really used right now. I think that a lot of times it's used for marketing. You see a lot of, I don't want to dive too into the weeds here just yet, unless you want to, but there's something, alternate reality games are a marketing technique that are used to promote films. Blair Witch Project was an early example of that. J.J. Abrams does it with all of his kind of stuff. And basically what that is it's a fiction game that takes place on the internet as though it were real through a series of websites and email accounts that you email and phone numbers you can call, and you're actually interacting in universe with the characters of that universe.
Oh, wow.
Which is so cool. But
it is.
My kind of qualm with it right now is that mostly it's used for advertising. It's you go down this rabbit hunt and you're following the clues and you're putting everything together and you're interacting, the story's building. Climax, come see our movie. And that's it. And
it stops.
I feel like it has
right?
a ton of
It doesn't go any further than the film.
That's right. The film is the main piece, and everything else kind of lives to serve the film. Whereas I feel like that in and of itself is such an incredible storytelling mechanism that right now is not getting enough play as that, and that's something that we kind of want to do going forward.
Mm. Yeah, fantastic. So where did your interest in this medium, I say medium, I suppose it's not like a new medium, is it? It's a new way of using the current mediums and enveloping it in a new in a new way. And like you say, I suppose it's not really new, but it sounds like it could be difficult for up and coming filmmakers or filmmakers with not the budgets of Marvel. You know, the things you've mentioned there, Marvel, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, are multi-billion-pound franchises with huge budgets. So they're able to create this over many decades as well, many years. So let's ask. So the question I want to ask is, how do you do that at a grassroots level? How do you start to get people's buy-in? But let's hear a little bit about you first. Where did your love and desire come for kind of working in this kind of transmedia field?
Well, believe it or not, I think actually those two answers can get really, really succinctly intertwined.
Sure,
So
great.
when I was growing up, my family went to Disneyland every year. I, in fact, got my Disneyland mug,
Uh,
and that was a really, really special place for me when I was growing up. And the reason for that is that from a world building standpoint and from an immersive experiences standpoint, there is no, I think, place that exists that so perfectly can put you into a scene the way a Disney park can do that.
mm,
And I think that's their big thing. And so I was really, when I was growing up, I wanted to be in a Walt Disney Imagineer, and I still kind of do.
amazing. Yeah.
Um,
Who doesn't?
and for those
Who
who
wouldn't
might
love
not know,
that?
those are the people who designed the park. Um, yeah, and so kind of as I kind of grew up, it sort of shifted more into sort of a filmmaking path, which is sort of what I've been on. But it's come full circle a little bit because what I'm realizing is I always wanted to give people a Disneyland like experience, but that, like you were talking about, is a millions and millions and millions of dollar project. And when I was in college, I made a video with a friend of mine that went viral, and we made it over the course of 1 hour in my living
Hmm.
room for $0. And among all the other stuff in film school that I was making with huge production, well, comparatively huge production value, that never got seen by anyone, it was that one video that we made literally in a night on a spur of the moment, and it got 11 million views and a Peabody Award, and it went all over all over the world. And what that made me realize through that experience was we're living in a really, really, really cool age. And that is an age in which kind of really what you say and what you're doing narratively matters for virality more than production value matters. You get everybody who's
Yeah,
really obsessed
sure.
with gear and, oh, what camera should I use? And, oh, I need to. It's like, no, 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 no. That's not, you don't need that. That's not the point anymore. The point is that you got to be driving the story, and you got to be driving the story in such a way that people want to share it with other people and people want to get really
Mm,
invested into it. And that's kind of something that I realized. So, from the standpoint of these transmedia projects, I actually think that there's a lot of democratization that can happen there, because I actually don't think that you need a ton of money. And I think that's the beauty of it.
mm.
People would imagine that you do. But look, it costs $12 to get a domain on Google Domains and set up a website.
Yeah,
It could,
yeah.
like all these things that you can do to kind of spread this virality. And that's how an alternate reality game works, is they put a cryptic 4chan post up or a cryptic Reddit post up or something like that. And they let it, they send mysterious packages to journalists, and anyone can do that.
Mm.
And
But you
from
need the
there
story.
it builds organic. You do need a story,
Yeah.
and
I mean, you can't.
yeah.
I guess you couldn't make this stuff in isolation. You need. So would you then map out the entire story? And I'm not just talking about the story of the a video. And we actually the film that you're talking about, which you said is 26 seconds, which got the 11 million views. We will watch that in a second. We've got it lined up to show. We'll watch the whole thing. So I'll send you 26 seconds. And people can see what you're talking about and why maybe it received the attention that it did. But you can't make this stuff in isolation, right? You need to map out the story, and part of that story will feature in the video. But actually, then the story needs to continue into the social posts, into the VR, into the audio narrative, into is that what you're saying? You have to map out this story first and then decide which parts of the story fit within each medium.
Absolutely. And I would say that a lot of people who try to do this, the biggest flaw is that they don't do that enough. Again, it's this idea that, in my mind, when you're putting together a story that's really truly going through these different channels and hitting all these different media, it's not, okay, we've got the main thing, and okay, we've got these other things, the tendrils that kind of come off of it, and those will help. I think that's where people fall short, because then it's not, you're losing people on these other legs when you could be gaining people the entire time through all the different,
Yes.
Everywhere you're going online, everywhere you're going on print, and I think that that's, even with the big studios, something that they're not doing enough of right now. And that's something that I am, me and my team are actually working on right now, is coming up with a way where it's like, okay, page one, square one, we are mapping everything out, and each piece is as important as the other pieces, and they really, really function as one unit. And then trying to figure out, okay, how do we make sure that people get access to all those different legs of it, so they don't get left behind.
Yes, of course. And I guess you have to make each piece as attractive as the next, because if somebody comes in not at the film stage, but they see the social post, or they get hold of a VR game, or any other piece of media which is part of your story, it needs to bring them in enough for them to want to retrace their steps and go back and discover the rest of the elements, right? Is how I'm imagining that the process would go if I was to be an audience member and be hooked by something in this kind of transmedia experience. I think it's really interesting as well, Aaron, that like the time, all of your experience now has led up to you kind of developing and innovating around this space, and probably now more than ever, with the potential collapse of actual in-person theaters and cinemas, you can't just grab people with the singular film, because you might not be able to get it to enough people, or you might not be able to get it to the right audience, because you've got to find other ways, particularly online at the moment, to try and hook them in. But that doesn't mean, I guess, just pumping out a trailer and then saying, come and watch my film. You can create a whole narrative thread around that, and I think that's fantastic. Martin, can we watch the video, please? The 26-second film. I'm really keen to see it. Let's see.
Hey bros, check who passed out on the couch. Guess what I'm gonna do to her. Real men treat women with respect.
So we probably need a little bit of context for that.
Wow. Yeah.
That
strong message.
I don't know. It was timely. It was very timely. And Sam Stendhal, a friend of mine, who I made it with, it was she wrote it. It was her idea, and she told me about it. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's make it. That came out right on the heels of, there was something in the U.S., and I don't know how internationally widespread it got, but it was the Steubenville, Ohio rape story, where basically what had happened was there was a group of high school football players who gang raped one of their peers, and they filmed it and they put it online, bragging about it. And because they were the star football players, like the team, the whole town swept it under the rug. And nothing. They didn't get in trouble. Everyone kind of knew about it. Everyone just made it hush hush. And then it was actually hackers. I think it was actually anonymous back when they were more of a thing, who found this video and leaked it and brought it to attention and like made it blow up. And then all of a sudden, they all had to reckon with that. But there was a shocking amount of defending the football players,
right,
or at least sympathizing with them, like, oh, their poor football careers that they have to go to juvie for a year. And it was just like, so we made that in response to that, and it just happened to be something that people were wanting to tell each other and so it made it something that was very easy to share.
Yeah,
And
of course, of course. You were saying what people may be thinking, but maybe didn't have the confidence to say, which is a great use of film. Like, a great use of that medium is to express something that maybe the collective feel and want to say, but don't or won't. So I think great, and you can see why that message. You're right, with a bit of context, you can understand why it kind of took off and went as viral as it did. And I think so. Is that important for you in terms of moving forward with this transmedia movement? In terms of, does it have to be current? Does it have to be of the moment? Does it have to, or can you just create? I mean, I guess maybe I'm answering my own question. You look at Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings; they're complete fictional, fabrication, made up stories, but still have this whole, this whole kind of multimedia surrounding to it. What's your thoughts on that? Having come from the space of you created this as a relevant current response and message. So is that something that you follow through with in all of your work, or was that just kind of a one-off?
Well, it's funny because funny timing you should ask, because I've been having a lot of conversations about this recently. And I've been thinking a lot about this recently. Something, I think most people know that fantasy films and sci-fi films are long tried and true vehicles for social commentary. And that's like one of the really big uses of them, honestly. Yeah. Is you can say things very directly without saying things very directly if you put it in a fantastical setting. And you can be much more on the nose than you can when you're making a movie about the here and the now. Yes. But another thing that I've been talking a ton about to people, and this actually kind of gets back to the Disneyland thought, is I'm a very big action adventure fan. I love Indiana Jones and The Mummy and all that kind of stuff. And the more, I've been thinking about legacy and history, as I think everyone has this year. And in watching these tropes that are in adventure tropes and realizing there are actually a ton of adventure film tropes are really problematic. And they're really actually rooted in imperialism. And there's this attitude of like, yeah, we're better than the people in those fun parts of the world we go like gallivant around in. And so what I've been thinking about, but I love the adventure genre. And I think that there's something really good there. It inspired me to want to go out and see the world when I was really young. And so I've been thinking a lot about, okay, so how could we take those tropes and flip them and retain that kind of sense of awe and wonder and excitement and drive to go out and like see new places and meet new people, especially for younger folks, while at the same time getting rid of those very, very, very imperialistic kind of attitudes that are still pretty liberally sprinkled throughout. So I haven't come up with a solution to that just yet, but I've been thinking about that a lot this year. A lot. Yeah. So it's funny you should ask. But in general, yeah, I do think that there's a responsibility to put those kinds of, that thought into even just fun stories.
Yeah, sure. Well, so your company, Mazama Entertainment. So what made you kind of take the leap from, kind of individual filmmaker, film career person to building a team around you? Is it because you felt you needed support in growing your ideas to a place where that you felt would be acceptable and enable you to move them forward, or did you just get lonely?
Yes, to both. No, it's you can't really compete with working on a team, I think, because
agreed.
I think it's really important to know your own limitations. Not only just technically or time wise, but also artistically, and also just your worldview and your world experiences. And it helps to have other people to get their input, because then you can get out of your own personal bubble, which is good.
Yeah.
Sure. We're doing a lot more of that right now because we're working on a really big project. And I know we talked about you're a fan of horror. So this is I can't say too much because it sort of relies on secrecy, but it's a huge project. It's going to have a podcast component. It's going to have an alternate reality game, a heavy alternate reality game. It's going to have a short film live stream component, kind kind of all put together into one. And, we've got a team of writers going on it. We've got kind of different consultants coming in. We've got animators working on stuff. And just a project at that size, you can't do that on your own, even with all the time in the world,
Absolutely. It sounds fantastic, and having a look, I do definitely urge people to go and check out your website to see some of the trailers and some of the work and the content that you're working on right now. It does have definitely a different feel to it than just the standard kind of stuff. Yeah. So talk to us about this, about Mortuary, because I just really enjoy this still. I'm not sure why, but I want to see it. I want to watch it.
So Mortuary is actually coming out on Saturday. This is the part actually where I confess to you, I haven't gone to bed yet because you thought I was getting up early for this. I'm still awake because I was coding. I was working on Mortuary until about an hour ago. Just coding and audio and editing and photoshopping and just getting all the stuff ready for Saturday. So what the deal with Mortuary is Mortuary is a short film that we made last year. Just finished its festival run like last week. And the short is based on a TV pilot. And the pilot's got a whole Bible attached to it. So it's got all this incredible lore and all this stuff that we just didn't have space to put in the short. And so as it was ending the end of the festival run, we were kind of thinking, okay, so what are we going to do with it afterwards? Well, we can just slap it on YouTube or Vimeo, where like all short films, it will just wither away and die in obscurity. And no one will watch it.
What you do, is it? That isn't what you do.
No, that didn't sound very fun. So instead, this is a very, very, very small scale experiment in something that we want to do much bigger for our next project. This is sort of our beta test, if you will. And so instead of just releasing the short, we've kind of built it into this experience. It's a little more interactive than a short film experience normally is. It's longer. So we have an interactive pre-show where you're sort of in the world. You're being invited to this character named Bill's funeral, which is where we start the film. And there's a 20-minute pre-show where it's like a text adventure. You're clicking through. It's like, oh, you want to go check out the cafe? You can check out the cafe. You click on it, and then, oh, look, you're in the cafe. We've got like sound effects. I hired an artist, so we've got all this original animated art that kind of throughout it, and it triggers a bunch of cool interactive elements as you're going through it, and then it ends up with you going up to the mortuary where you sit down, and then boom, the film starts. And then we've got bonus features. We put together like a commentary and behind the scenes things and stuff like that. And yeah, so it's fun, it's cute, it's much smaller in scale than what we're planning on doing, but it's kind of it's a good experiment to kind of see, okay, does this have a little bit of legs, and can this turn into something that's a lot more technologically involved, a lot more expansive. And this is and we hope it's going to be it's a more fun experience than I would say what just watching a short normally yields.
Yes.
So so that comes out on Saturday.
I think often, Aaron, there's no, like, unless you know the person who's made it, or if I was just to go on a hunt to just watch short films, what would be the thing that would hook me in? It might be the thumbnail, it might be the title, it might be somebody's reviewed it. But really, if I came across a short film that told me that you will have a 20-minute interactive experience before the film, and that's part of the narrative, then that's something that I haven't really seen or come across before. So I think I would be, yes, I'm on board with this. Tell us where, like, so what time is it going? Like, where can we? I want to watch it. I want to get involved in that and have a go. How do we do it? Where do we go?
Well, there's the good PR answer and the honest answer. I'm going to give you the honest one, which is I don't know what time it's going up on Saturday, because that depends on how quickly I finish it. Okay. I'm working a lot of hours this week. No, it's gonna. So if you go to mazamaentertainment.com, there's gonna be just a little pop-up right when you go on the site, and it's for a mailing list. I hate spam. I think everyone hates spam, so we're only using it just to announce, like, hey, this new thing is actually online right now.
course.
So if any of your viewers want to go over that and check it out, or your listeners, they can just sign up for the email list. They'll get a blast about it as soon as it goes online. But it's going online this Saturday, and you can buy your ticket right on the website. It's going to be, $4 or $5.
Nice.
And in perpetuity, so you can watch it as many times as you want, whenever you want. It's yours forever, including the interactive experience, the bonus features, and all that jazz. And yeah, I hope people check it out, because if folks like it, we're gonna run with it, and we're gonna do something a lot cooler immediately thereafter. So definitely, too, if any of your viewers or listeners do check it out, send me an email. I would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, of course, because you can only base how you innovate and develop this medium with feedback, right? You need feedback from the audience. I hope you get lots of people on. I will definitely be sharing it around. I'll definitely be having a look on Saturday. It sounds brilliant, actually. I'm really excited to see what that experience is like. From an audience point of view, but also from an intrigued filmmaker perspective as well, to kind of see it and say how have you put this together, and what's that experience going to be like. I think it sounds fantastic. Aaron, listen, we've got a few minutes left, mate, so I really want you maybe in under a minute and a half, where do you see, or where do you hope to take the medium of transmedia over the next 5-10 years? Because let's face it, so much changes every year. There's no point in saying in 1 or 2 years, that the stuff is changing all the time. So 5-10 years is big enough scope. Where do you want to take it, and what do you hope to achieve?
All right, here's my small elevator pitch. Here's my vision for the future of transmedia is, in 1 minute or less, that I think the biggest obstacle to transmedia, the reason that everyone consumes it but no one's heard that word, is that it's too piecemeal. It's not unified enough. If you're take Star Wars, for example, you can go to the Disney parks and go be in the world of Star Wars. You can watch the shows. You can read the expanded universe books. You can watch the movies. You can play with the Legos. But they're all piecemeal, and they're not unified. They're not cohesive. You can't go to one spot and then consume all of it in one very put together way. Mm-hmm. And the thing that I think is down the road for us that we're going to work on is a new storytelling format where you have the best of all of those worlds together in one spot that flows really seamlessly, that's very natural, that works with the technology that you have, and creates a unified experience, taking all of those different, taking podcasts and books and movies and putting them all together into one unified new thing. And that's without divulging, too much detail that I haven't figured out yet. I think that's where we're going. Yeah. Fingers crossed.
And I guess really, when you talk about the huge expanded universes of Marvel, everyone understands that all of these additional graphic novels, comic books, what we called merchandise earlier, I guess, which is, not what transmedia is, I understand now. But merchandise, it's money, right? It's keeping the cash rolling. It's keeping the money coming in. The stories are created, and then they're just finding new mediums to hash out the stories, but they might not be connected. And often they're not connected. They're just singularities on their own. So I think what you're saying is trying to bring one cohesive story together using these different platforms. And it sounds like Mortuary, is at the very, for your journey, is at the very cusp of that, like that first or second rung of that ladder. And I'm excited to see it, mate. I think it sounds fantastic.
Oh, well, thanks so much. It's a baby step, but hopefully, a fun one at least. I'm excited to see what you think about it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I will definitely give you some, I'm sure, what will be positive feedback. Aaron, in the last minute then, mate, where do you want people to go? Where, what else have you got on? Where can people find more out about you and about your company? Now's your chance to plug away, good sir.
So it's Mazama Entertainment, Mazama Entertainment. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on all the things. Definitely check out the website. The biggest thing is to sign up for our email list, because that's where you're going to hear directly about when we've got new stuff going online. And it's just mazamaentertainment.com/mortuary is where you're going to find Mortuary starting on Saturday.
Brilliant. Aaron, listen, I really appreciate you I had thought you had gone to bed and had to wake up. I feel a little bit less bad now, but I still think I owe you a drink or two for taking the time out so early in your day to talk to me about this this medium. Your energy and your passion about this medium is exciting, and I'll be definitely keeping let's stay in touch. I'll definitely be keeping a close eye on Mazama Entertainment website. I'm going to sign myself up right now. And yeah, I think there's some exciting things to come, and starting with Mortuary on Saturday. I hope it goes really well. Yeah, I hope it's everything that you are hoping it's going to be. I'm sure it is. And yeah, huge thank you for talking to me today about it.
Well, Jamie, thank you so much for having me. It has been an absolute blast. It's a joy talking to you. And I can't wait to see what you've got going on next episode.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Aaron. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
There we have it, guys. Aaron Blanton from Mazama Entertainment talking about Transmedia. Very, very interesting. We all know about it. We're all in the thick of it all the time with these great big, Marvel films, Lord of the Rings, as Aaron was saying. But we already know what Transmedia is, and Aaron's just looking for a different way of kind of piecing all this stuff together, which I think is great. I really urge you to check out his website. I'm going to be watching Mortuary on Saturday and getting involved in the experience. I think it sounds really, really interesting, and I hope you can too. So that was episode 17. We've got another episode coming to you next Wednesday at 10 again. Stay tuned. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. This episode will go live I say live so much. It's going to be published onto Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all the other popular podcast platforms. It's a lot of P's. So stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your week. Any questions, reach out to me at Jamie Ray Video across all social. Drop some comments and stuff below if you've got any questions. And I will speak to you and see you next week.